Welcome to another AEC+tech Talk, Inside AI Implementation in Architecture Firms. I'm Niknaz, and I'm really excited for having this conversation and being your host today. As we all know, there's a lot of discussion around AI in architecture right now. But what's most interesting to me and to our AEC+tech community is how AI and all these technologies and great tools are being implemented and used inside firms. What's working, what's not working, and how teams are navigating all this shift in their workflow. So today's session is all about that, real experiences from practice. We're joined by three wonderful speakers. Ali Nasiri, Director of Computational Design at FLAD Architects. Welcome, Ali. Thank you so much for joining.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Mona Hashemi, Design Technology Leader at MBBJ. Wonderful to have you, Mona, with us. Thanks for joining.
Hi. Thanks for inviting me.
Great. And Brandon Mullins, Design Computing Discipline Leader and Principal at Stantec. Wonderful too. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Awesome. So thank you all for being here. As always, this will be a very practical conversation. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat box in LinkedIn and on YouTube as we go. So to start, I'm going to ask our three great speakers to please introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself, your background, the type of work you're involved with. And how AI started to show up in your workflow. So we can start with Ali and then go to Mona and then Brandon.
Wow. Okay. I'll start. Let me share my screen.
Sure.
Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Great. All right. So good morning. I assume good afternoon and maybe even good evening, depending on where in the world you're tuning in from. My name is Ali Nasiri, Director of Computational Design at FLAD Architects, leading a group called FX, which is basically the computational design group at FLAD Architects. A little bit about FLAD. This snapshot gives a sense of the scale and impact of our practice. We've been around over 95 years, and we've got 300 plus professionals working in different offices nationwide. And today, we've designed more than 75 million square feet of space, mostly focused on science and technology, academic, healthcare, and workplace environment. So we got a great geographic reach, which allows us to serve a lot of clients nationwide, while we try to work as one studio. So that's about FLAD. A little bit about me. I wear quite a few hats throughout the day. I'm still actively involved in project design, and I really enjoy working with design teams. At the same time, my team FX and I support projects in many different ways, from simulations, automations, to generative design, rationalization, optimization, you name it, and of course, AI. I also co-lead our firm-wide AI initiative with a great colleague of mine, Eric Shapey, and I also manage the digital fabrication lab in our San Francisco studio. And somewhere in between all of that, I like to think of myself as a digital artist. The image on the left side is me without beard, standing next to one of my pieces at the exhibition in San Francisco. So if for whatever reason, I don't want to name AI, architecture thing doesn't work out, I'm hoping the art career will finally take off. All right. So this is some internal diagram. Shows how our work sits at the intersection of three connected domains: computational design or effects, design technology, and BIM. Computational design on the left side is more focused on program, software, and covering lots of areas like AI, machine learning, generative design, optimization, simulation, so on and so forth. Design technology on the right side is more tool and hardware focus, including AR, VR, visualization, reality capture, interaction, data collection, and finally BIM at the bottom is more process focused, supporting object-oriented modeling and team management. Um, where these areas overlap is where things get especially powerful. Computational design, design technology come together through digital fabrication and performance analysis. Computational design and BIM connect through collaboration and automation. Parametric modeling, design technology, and BIM overlap through data visualization, benchmarking, and at the center of these three, we think where the actual design is happening when all of these are overlapping. Our initial thought was AI would be under effects. Then this goes back to many years ago, more than 5 years ago. Then we came to realization that AI is not an isolated topic. Um, but it's a broader layer extend across multiple domains. So rather than thinking of AI as a separate silo, the diagram basically frames that it's interconnected ecosystem where software, tool, and process come together, and it actually goes beyond all of these, as we all know. All right, so let's focus on AI a little bit. This slide highlights the scale and momentum of AI adoption globally. So, based on a few different studies we see on the screen, today about 88% of organizations globally report using AI in some form, so significantly uh, higher from just a few years ago. At the same time, 92% of organizations say that they are increasing their investment in AI, uh, signaling that companies see it as a core strategic capability. And as a result, global spending on AI technology is projected to reach roughly $2.5 trillion in 2026. So I think this means something. It's reflecting the massive economic shift. So let's focus on design firms and AEC in general, how they relate with AI. So as we see, while AI adoption is accelerating across most industries, architecture is still in the early stages, unfortunately. According to a survey done by AIA published in 2025, only about 6% of architects say they regularly use AI tools in their work, and just 8% of architecture firms report implementing AI in their practice. Even across broader AEC, we know typically engineers are a little bit ahead of us in terms of adopting technology. Um, According to another report by Bluebeam, only about 27% of AEC firms say they are currently using AI. These numbers basically telling us that although the interest in AI is growing, we still have a long way to go. So, looking at a timeline I created for another research and a presentation a few years ago, basically this This diagram shows how major digital technologies have entered architecture profession over the past several decades. So goes back to 1950s, uh, and you see how CAD, BIM, computational design, and AI have evolved. So I don't want to go through the details, but I want to show you something, tell you something very important. So basically, where you see the rectangle is where each of these technology were, uh, were established or were used by other industries. And where you see the stars is where architecture and some AEC firms adopted that kind of technology. So roughly, in most cases, we see a gap of uh, 10 to 15 years between adopting the technology by other industries versus adopting it by uh, AEC and architecture. And as you see, AI and machine learning is being used by other technologies, and we were far behind. So if you look at the timeline we just saw, I mentioned that we are behind. And the challenge with AI is that the value compound over time. As I'm visualizing some other research done by PwC and IBM, which basically suggests organizations which implemented AI successfully, they can achieve up to 3 times return on investment. That means the longer our industry delays adoption, the more potential value we're going to leave on the table. In other words, the lag we saw in the timeline is not just the technology delay. It also represents productivity, efficiency, and competitive advantage. And it requires a collective effort for all of us to fill the gap. So with this, I think I can pass this to either Brandon or Mona.
Thank you, Ali. Brilliant work and great thoughts. So we'll get back to you with questions. So Mona, can you go next, please?
Sure. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Mona Hashemi. I'm the design technology leader in MBBJ. And today I'll be sharing a little bit about my role in MBBJ in the context of AI, and then also talking about how we are actually implementing AI. So I want to start my presentation with this sentence: "Shape the disruption or reshapes you." We all know that with the rise of AI, disruption is already in architecture and it's moving fast. And the question here is whether we are shaping it as it enters our practice, as it enters our workflows and culture and values, or we're just trying to just react to it as it arrives. And because there's a real cost and risk into just waiting and doing nothing, because at the same time our competitors, our clients, and our employees are just moving without us. So we either should shape this shift or it shapes us. And I don't say it from from someone that's outside looking in. I just say it as someone who is very much in the middle of figuring out how AI is affecting our industry and our workflows. So looking at my journey at MBBJ and scale of my engagement with AI, I started 5 years ago as a computational designer at the studio level in MBBJ, and I was embedded in studio project work, working closely with designers, figuring out how computation and technology can actually improve the way we design on a day-to-day basis. And at that stage, AI was really about exploration, like trying different tools, testing like large language models or image generations. But over time, I grew and moved into a firm-wide role, leading the design computation team across all MBBJ. And at that scale, the conversation also shifted. It was no longer just about what we can try, what we can test. It becomes about how do we build this into the way that actually works for the firm. So in another word, about like how we turn all these exploration into like real capability for the firm. And where I'm now as design technology leader, the scope is even broader. It's about the strategy. How does AI shape the direction of the firm? How we invest in it? And I would say like the computational thinking, yeah, that technology related workflows, and past experiences is exactly what positioned me to be deeply involved in how MBBJ think about AI. And I'm sharing this not to just talk about titles, but because I think this is the progression that's actually happening to other firms or other teams, like moving from curiosity to capability and finally to the strategy. Um, so in MBBJ, we are actively using AI across our practice. We have tried to integrate that into our multiple workflows, and I've created like four main categories for these use cases. So the first one is, of course, the visual storytelling and design understanding. We are using AI to kind of accelerate our design iteration and like material exploration, especially with all these powerful AI models that has shown up in the past few years. Really helping our team to quickly like visualize options and communicate that ideas to clients with more clarity and speed. And we can quickly turn like a sketch into a visual that can really facilitate our conversation with the client and also within our internal teams. The second is data analysis and interactive dashboards. We know that we have like complex data, either it's like operational or like clinical or like project related data. We can use AI to turn it into like real time dashboards and actionable insights. So we can make like smarter decisions, which is really based on evidence. And then the third one is research and knowledge discovery. We all know that all these large language models are really helping us with deep researching and synthesizing large, amount of data information that would otherwise take us like a few days to read through, to work through. And this is actually really powerful. Now we can help our team to really surface like relevant information faster. Let's say it's like zoning codes, it's building standards, like project precedents and stuff. And the last one is the intelligent assistant. So think about how much time we usually spend in any organization for coordination, for communication, and keeping track of decisions. And AI is actually starting to take on a meaningful role here. And it's becoming a layer of intelligence that supports our teams throughout the entire project lifecycle, handling lots of administrative work, operational work that usually slows people down. And it actually, like some of the examples is like these automated meeting minutes or summaries from different meetings, which would definitely take a long time to provide. And then or like these AI agents that are created based on project information. Let's say like um, a project has like multiple like PDFs of the contracts information, and then we can feed it to the AI agent and ask questions, and that would really help track decisions and keep the whole team aligned. So now that we have like all these capabilities and of course it's helping us with efficiency, now it's the time to think about organizational shift, really like moving from just experiments or testing these tools into like infrastructure, moving from what we call like presumer, which means like individual staff is like using these tools to work faster, to work smarter, to enterprise augmented, which means that we are building like customized AI tools based on our own data and knowledge. And this shift actually definitely needs multiple factors in my mind. The first one is scaling. We should like build a strategy and an infrastructure to move from really like isolated experiments into like firm-wide capability. The second one is culture, because one of the hardest part of AI adoption is not the technology itself. It's actually the people. It's how they feel about how they feel about this change, and how they feel about the learning, how they think what this means for their role. And this is really important to make sure that we have a culture in the firm. And the last one is, of course, the governance, the data that we have, like our IP, the client data, and how to make sure that it's confidential. So I think when we get all these right, we like arrive at something which is much more powerful. It will be a firm that's not just using off-the-shelf AI tools, but that would be a firm that is building and customizing AI with its own knowledge, its own project data, its own way of thinking and way of working. And that is what we're calling enterprise augmented. And this is what we are currently moving toward. Thank you. I guess, yeah, that's the end of my presentation. I'll hand it over to Brenda.
Well, thank you, Mona. Thank you for so generously sharing all this great work and insights from your work. Okay, Brandon.
Are you in control of that?
Yes.
All right, I'll keep this tight. So maybe I'll even set a timer. So I wanted to start with I guess I want to open up with the most recent trend. AI is changing so fast. So I just want to say a statement. I have been hearing a lot that I've been hearing owners, specifically enterprise owners, asking repeatedly how they're going to go faster, how AI is going to make them go faster. I think it's really interesting right now to frame the conversation around maybe what the architects want and maybe what the industry might push us towards, which could be sheer speed. I haven't really framed my presentation around that, but I wanted to open with it because I think it's thought-provoking and scary at the same time, right? About a world where we might just be asked, where owners are beginning to expect this technology to just create speed, which maybe brings me to a quote of George Lucas's, "I love a special effect without a story is a pretty boring thing," which is a reminder to us to ask ourselves why we should be touching the technology. I like to look, Eero Saarinen, one of my favorite architects, was building extremely complex structures ahead of his time with zero computers, zero computation. He had an understanding of geometry, which in and of itself is computational design in a way. But I think it's just good to ground ourselves in what the masters were able to achieve without the technology to make sure that we're using it in the best way. And photos of Eero Saarinen climbing into his own models, which in my mind is a form of virtual reality, right? And so to always kind of frame some of this tech around, are we rooted in the profession, right? Are we rooted in what the profession wants? Are we doing VR just because, or are we doing it to solve the same problems that the greats did? And the same goes for Buckminster Fuller, who was essentially using geometry and computation far ahead of his time to create interesting structures. And we can go back even further into Gaudi, right, which was using a natural compute, right, just the laws of physics to understand how to rationalize geometry. So it's nice to look back at some of these principles. My name's Brendan Mullins. I'm in San Francisco. I'm an architect. I spend still about half my day practicing, it depends, and then the other half leading a design technology group that we call Design Computing. Two projects that I'm particularly proud of are the Lucas Museum, which should be opening this year after a long-awaited design effort, and Paradise Island, which was a really fun project we just delivered in the Caribbean, which I'll talk a little bit about. I think Mona and I, and Ollie have all had good conversations when we were together about how challenging it can be to change an organization, to think this way, to think computationally, to think about AI, to think about design tech, and to take it seriously. My take on how I've been trying to affect change is build a team of very practice-focused people, probably out of survival and tactically, because I want to make sure my folks can be busy and ingrained in projects as key team members, not just they come in to swoop in and do a fancy tech thing and vanish. So I've made sure our team of technologists is actually largely, they're all licensed, design-oriented and on projects, and also strong communicators, because I think one of the biggest challenges we've had in technology in our industry is being able to communicate to VPs, principals, PMs about why they should care. And I think that's important. Some of the AI work we're doing, I think, on my desk today, the magic unicorn of automated space planning, of course, everybody's asked for it. And I think there's a deeper discussion about whether we ever really do want to automate space planning and automate floor plans. I think it's somewhere between a dream and a nightmare, depending on which side of the camp you're on. But AI and vibe coding has allowed me to put young hackathon hotshots at this task and essentially start solving it. And they have very little programming experience, and I would call them modest at Grasshopper. And they are building essentially space planning tools. And I think that goes to tell you what AI is. Where I think it's going is we're going to generate tools via prompts. It already exists, of course. We know what vibe coding is, but I think it's one thing to say it and it's one thing to feel it. And we're starting to feel it, right? Things are just starting to poof into existence on our desks, which is very interesting. The same goes for this. This picture here is Stable Diffusion, which we're using to render our Nana Banana, others. Mona talked about it. And then blending it with vibe coded, in this case, energy analysis software that we've created. And this is built in Comfy UI, I think, but it could be Grasshopper, but kind of merging these texts. And I think what was cool about the image generation thing that went on the last few years is that just people were astonished by speed. Environmental analysis has suffered from no speed, right? Usually our sustainability teams need weeks to remodel, to optimize models and come back with their analysis. And we're finally hitting an inflection point where we can do this instantly. Like this tool, which is essentially doing very detailed solar studies instantaneously out of our Rhino model. So we're able to, parametric facades, and then get the same thing that used to take the sustainability folks a week. Like we're getting it in real time as you're parametrically adjusting the facade. I think it's really interesting. Forma and things do this at a site level, but we're talking about trying to do this at the actual photon level, which I think is really, really interesting. And again, AI is letting us just build these tools faster. I think this was a really interesting case study recently. Copilot, which for a long time was my enemy, but is slowly becoming my friend, is now able to take this photo and elevate it. Now, this was done for a master planning project. I think it was kind of like bridging documents and a campus analysis. But this is pretty new, and this is fairly accurate. I mean, you can see the header on this opening. It's done it, right? Somehow it's even figured out there's a tower back there, but it missed the chimney. It's not perfect, but its ability to analyze a drawing, I think, has profound impacts down the line for an ability for AI to read detailed drawings or to go much further than just making pretty pictures, right? It's starting to understand architectural drawings in their relation to the world. And I think there's a lot there down the line. I'll probably just jump to a case study, maybe just to tell a story about it. Coming off the Lucas Museum and also off Paradise Island, which we just finished a few months ago, 4 months ago it opened. We finished design a year and a half ago. I mean, the scripts we build to deliver these projects are complex and they take a long time and they require a lot of QAQC. And I would just kind of end this again on this vibe coding bit, which I think is the most interesting. We're actually having our computational design lead, Cooper, helped deliver this project with me. He's used to knowing exactly what every node does. And I've watched him challenge himself to vibe code more. And nodes represent, entire strings that he used to build. And it's kind of a black box. So all of a sudden he's supercharged and he can generate things instantaneously, but they're behind a curtain and there's a lack of understanding what's behind there. So it's also a strange moment in time where, I have the young guys who don't really care if they know what the node does, but then you have people even like Cooper who does care, but now it's hidden inside of just this superscript that the AIs are building. So it's kind of a strange time for us, but I'm excited to think about how much easier this kind of thing could be from a production standpoint now, even in the last 3 months as vibe coding's taken off, to take these kind of things to reality faster. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Beautiful projects, super inspiring. Thanks for sharing, Brandon. So I'm going to ask you the first question. We are getting some questions from our audience. I'm going to ask you the first question about how this process usually start within your firm. So all three of you are obviously champions in your offices. So in terms of AI and technology adoption. So what is usually the process like? If you can tell us a little bit when it comes to AI adoption and technology adoption, specific tools, specific needs. So does your team members come to you and express their needs with certain type of task or something, and then you figure out what kind of tool out there in the market can help, or if you have to build it in-house, and then or do you have a team that goes out there and does some sort of discovery and research in that regards? And then if you can also mention what the biggest challenges have been for you in the past couple months or past years that you've been dealing with all this. So is it like some examples like data privacy, team members concerns, or clients? So what, if you want to name one or more than one, a couple biggest challenges for you in this regard, what are they? So we can start from Ali and then go to Mona and then Brandon.
Well, that's a big question, and especially compiling both questions in one, I think it makes it a little bit harder. Let's just start with the first one about AI adoption and implementation. If I got it correctly, it was around, yeah. All right. So in my opinion, AI implementation should begin with a strategy, not tools. So before selecting use cases, I think firms must understand what AI is, how AI is reshaping the profession, what opportunities and threats are out there, where it aligns with our business goals, and business goals, we're talking short-term, mid-term, and long-term, obviously, meaning, architecture company need an sort of AI roadmap. That's what we did, including, the philosophy, the basic policies on AI use, the budget, resources, resource allocations, so on and so forth. Then once you got that in place, then based on all of these, you can define use cases then prioritize them. You know, think about readiness. We have this go no go system in place. We basically have a comprehensive form that we go through for every single project to think to understand if it's worth the shot or not, if it's going to be useful down the road or not. And then for each one, we have some sort of action plan. And obviously, after the action plan, we start figuring out if it's going to be built in house or it's going to be some sort of off the shelf tool. And after that, going to be pilots, communication, and finally some sort of deployment and training. So this is the process we have in place. So to answer your question in one sentence, I want to say AI adoption is not a technology problem. More than anything, it's some sort of organizational transformation problem. So you need to look at it that way.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Halim. So, Mona.
Yeah, Alex, these are really great points. I think in terms of AI adoption in MBBJ, I think I would say it was a bit different than like what we saw in like computational design or Beam at that time. So like it was not that there was a strategy built from the beginning and then we start using AI. So it definitely just comes from, it started with like testing and experimenting with different tools. That is how it started. Even like there was not a strategy in place at that point. Even the leadership of the firm were also exploring these things. So it didn't start from strategy. It started from experiments with different people in the firm, and then from our digital side, a group started to shape, specifically focused on AI. It's a small group, but the intention is really like look into what is the trend, what tools are available. So I think what really played a significant role here was that clear communication between the employees in the firm and the leadership team. So people go out there, start using tools, start like seeing other firms testing tools, and then they come back to the leadership team and proposing like their interests. And I think that was like a back and forth process, I would say. It started from employees testing these tools, then it started, and then we tried to have really a clear communication and open dialogue in the firm, right? We had multiple like weekly sessions for everyone to just come and join and talk about what they're working on and what do they what they benefit from, what they think these tools how these tools can help them. And like these conversation and these feedback from the designers, from like PAs, PMs, anyone who is using these tools, kind of shape the thinking around, okay, what the strategy should be. Okay, like the designers, the PAs, they need this tool, they need this to get the work done. Okay, now let's think strategically how we should implement that in the firm, so people don't just go out and subscribe to a tool or sign up for a tool, right? So it comes from this clear an open conversation with the whole firm. And then in the strategy level, then we try to implement tools that we make sure that's in enterprise level, we make sure that all the data is protected. And then after that, it becomes that knowledge sharing and that uh, uh, creating that alignment of leadership with the employees, right? So they would announce, okay, these are the tools, these are the policy to use these tools, and these are the benefits. And those use cases come from the designers. It doesn't necessarily doesn't come from the leadership or the strategy team. So I think what I'm saying is that like the strategy in this one is a bit different, because it was new for everyone. It was not there was not a strategy in place, and then AI came. And regarding the second question, the challenges, Of course, like I think for many architecture firms, like this data structure is a big challenge. We have lots of data and information that are tied into projects that just go to nowhere. After the project is done, there's no access to them, and there's no intelligence built on top of that. So I think that's a big challenge for many architecture firms, because traditionally, like a data engineer or a data analysis is not part of the roles of architecture firms, usually, but they are coming into play, right? Because we need to learn from those data. They're like valuable and lots of information and data to our previous projects, and that's a big challenge. Like all architecture firms should look at, and we should really look at it systematically from the base. Yeah.
Very good. Love it. Thank you, Mona.
Mhm.
So Brandon, what are your thoughts? Oh, sorry. I think you're. Oh, okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a strategy problem for sure. Change management, the software tools. There's so many AI startups right now, and many of them promise the moon, and so it can be hard even for us to know where to go with that. Especially, we're a very large organization, so we are much slower to pivot than a smaller org would be too. So I think especially now with so many options and tools coming into existence, like I think some of the bigger organizations, including mine, like we're not just going to consume every new software on the market. So we're definitely we definitely trying to make sure we put our bets in the right place and our energy in the right place, because we're such a big ship to turn. I think another challenge I've seen recently, I'm just going to take Copilot, for instance. Like before GPT-5 was in Copilot, it was like very bad. And everybody was upset because they couldn't get ChatGPT. We didn't have ChatGPT. We had Copilot in our org, which is kind of typical of some orgs. And then GPT-5 came in and it got drastically better. And it's gone now from I would never trust it to code research. Now I very much trust it to at least get me to the code sections, right? So it's like, and that's in a year's time. All of a sudden, I'm starting to trust it as a code second thought for me as I'm in building projects. But recently, it was giving code opinions that were at 180-degree odds against my code consultant. So it was citing the right codes, but then it was taking interpretations of the codes that nobody on my team would agree with. So when that happens, I think to people in our org too, some people have written off AI. I think particularly senior leaders, they've thought that just typing one sentence into an AI was just going to change their entire life. And so kind of controlling expectations and helping our org understand that it's going really, really fast. Like it's probably going to be able to understand your entire drawing set in a year or two, but today it can't, right? So it's different from all past tech in that it's going just so fast that you have to control expectations. And I think the $1 million question thing, the big thing too is everybody always wants to know what they can do now. So we focus a lot on today. What could we help you with today with AI? And not get too hung up in the moonshots. A lot of the big AEC firms are not ready to train their own AIs, many of them, or none of them. I've not seen it successfully done, right? We're just not set up that way. So I think for AEC firms, it's about what can we help our practitioners do today so that we can gain their trust and create a culture of change.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. I love it how you're explaining that it's not really one size fits it all. So for each of you, it's been different. Like Ali was explaining, it's been a strategy, Mona communication. So for each of you, there is something that has been guiding this path, and it's really hard, but I think it's still very helpful for everyone that you are sharing all this knowledge, because we are all learning and we are at the very early stages of all this. So we have 10 minutes and we are getting some questions. So I'm going to post some of them from our audience. So Libish, I don't know why his name is not posted here, is asking, where do you see graph machine learning techniques, specifically in AEC, apart from the broader AI in AEC? So I'm going to post all these questions here, and then please feel free to answer any of them that are relevant to your work. So Neo is asking, what kind of customized AI tools does MBBJ try to implement? This question for Mona. The next question is also for Mona. Mike is asking, specifically, which tools are MBBJ using for visualization?
Okay, I can start from the last questions. In terms of the visualization, I'm assuming you're talking about AI visualization. So, like many firms, we started with different tools like Midjourney. We started getting like subscriptions, like enterprise level, and then like other models just came around, and we saw that there are lots of interest from employees into other models as well. So we, for the sake of not like for the sake of the privacy of our data, and also like just seeing that there are powerful models coming out, we thought that a platform that is that has like multi level of models would be beneficial, so we're not tied into just one tool. So that's why we last year we moved into VV platform, which is like a platform that has like all the image generation models, video models, multiple like editing tools. So we moved to that platform, so everyone would be able to pull any model that they need for their work, and it's pretty powerful. And the good thing about it is that it's any new model, any update. Let's say there's an update to Nano Banana model, it will show up in that platform, and I think that is really really helpful for us and for the employees. And the other question, the customized AI tools. So one tool that we actually developed was a marketing AI chatbot. So we had all these chatbots, but then we got this like request and interest from our marketing team that they want to be able to get and retrieve data from previous projects, and to help them with providing like presentations for new pursuits, for new leads, and so that is something we developed in house. We try to have the large language models and feed that with all the previous project information, so it would be like a type of conversation and chat with that. So marketing team can go there and ask questions about previous projects, like ask and it will provide like all the information, all the resources that we have tied to that specific project. So that is one tool that we developed in house. And what we are looking at right now is we had multiple workshops with our employees, with as I said, like designers, like in all different roles, and try to understand what they see in 5 years that they would need. And they think AI would help them solve. And from all these workshops and conversation, we kind of try to prioritize like, let's say, like 5 main use case that we see multiple people ask around. Like one of them was, yeah, we need a tool that is specific for each project and is like you can search anything, you can track all the items that was discussed in a meeting. We can track all the discussions, like previous data related to that project. So that is something that came up from these conversation, and we are moving toward actually kind of building these tools in house, let's say for each project. It definitely needs lots of work. It needs the infrastructure, lots of on the operational sides. So a lot needs to be done, but this is where we are moving toward.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, Ali, Brandon, I would love it if you can also answer these questions and share with us what you are doing in your offices. So, customized AI tools, and then what you're using for visualization right now. So, Ali, do you want to go first?
I can definitely go ahead. So there was also the question around graph machine learning, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't capture it, quite well.
good
if
here.
you have a clarification on it, yeah, I think I can talk about graph machine learning and how we've used it previously in our firm.
Sure.
So graph machine learning is, an interesting aspect of machine learning, and somewhat it works with architecture better than different types of machine learning techniques. And we have used it in few cases, especially for space planning and adjacency analysis. I know other firms use it a lot for path of egress, figuring out egress in buildings, especially in the multi-story buildings. But I think that the LinkedIn user asked the question was asking how it's used in broader AEC, not necessarily in architecture. So I'm not very familiar with other use cases in AEC. I know mechanical engineers also use it for planning, building systems and MEP networks, as far as I understand. But beyond that, I'm not 100% clear about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ali. So, Brandon, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, a question around Viz. I mean, it's been a long journey. I mean, we started with Stable Diffusion, and we're building a lot of custom stuff. At this point, I think the market's is starting to sort itself out, and there's enterprise solutions that we lean into. Some of my favorites are Runway and Varus, not to, put too much money behind anybody, but they've been good, and they let us choose models. For a long time, we thought we were going to be training our own LoRa's and training our own image models.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just the world, again, things go so fast. I think that's proved to be not the best use of anybody's time. And things like Nana Banana have made some of that concept obsolete at this point. So it's tricky, right? Again, I'm not convinced AEC firms are really ready to stand up to Silicon Valley and go faster than the market will sort itself out. So we try to avoid custom AI solutions, to be brief. That's why I leaned a lot into using Dynamo, Grasshopper, plus vibe coding, plus developers to build smaller, right, ready purpose stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, somebody's asking right now about the promise of automation. Yeah, I mean, more than leadership asking, like I said, is the owners are all of a sudden they've watched CNN for the last year, and they're like, it's told me that the whole world's going to change, and I need half as many people. How come you guys are still billing me the same money you charged me 3 years ago? And like, they are becoming very bold. I think it sounds like a joke, but like, I'm getting this question like point blank to my face now in multiple settings, and it's interesting. I'm like, we could have another 2 hours around this one conversation of automation and expectations and what it means for our industry, but I think that's going to be the next year. You're going to hear a lot more about that.
Yeah, someone told me the answer is not yet. So that's the short answer that you're supposed to say.
Yeah, but then what happens when the next firm says, okay, yeah, we'll do it? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, and I think some people are choosing to speak that way. Sure. We'll hire an AI guru and they'll just solve all our problems. So it's, I don't know, it's an interesting inflection point.
Yep, for sure.
I just want to add the point to Brendan's about like client asking, okay, now that you're using these tools, like your fees should be less. I think it's really important because yes, we are creating a rendering really fast, but it also comes with more expectation as well, right? Like once we can turn around like a design option in 2 days, then the client would be say, oh, how about this, how about that, right? Like it would be both ways. It's not that the whole process would be shrinking. I think it just creates more requests from the other side, and also it's really important to convey the value that this brings, and it's not just about time saving. I think it's about yes, now that I can create like 10 options, then I can make decision more like smarter. I can it can be more informed, and this is bringing value and not just saving time. And I know this is as Brendan said, what if a firm would say, yeah, I can cut down my fee. But I think that is something that really like we should as architecture firms think about.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to be respectful of your time. So do you all have maybe 4 or 5 more minutes to stay, because we started 5 minutes late, because we are getting some more questions and to wrap up. Is it okay with all of you to stay a few? Okay, so just 5 more minutes and we got to wrap up. So I'm not sure why some of the users' names are not showing up here. So this question is posted by Robert Jimenez. Sorry, Robert, if I'm not saying your name right. Robert is asking, do you see the industry shifting to local AI models as opposed to frontier models like Copilot, Gemini, and Opus? So what do you think?
Not yet. I mean, no, I mean, big organizations need predictability, and they don't have the infrastructure to manage a huge AI backend, I don't think, at this point. I mean, they're paying for the convenience. So I don't think they're ready yet, but I do think it'll be interesting in 6 years when the open source models of, in 6 years when the frontier model of today is the open source model of 6 years from now, right? I mean, eventually cheaper models are going to catch up, and you're going to have to ask yourself, how good of a model do you really need? Are you willing to pay for the sentient being, or do you need a less than sentient being, right? I mean, so I think things are just going so fast. I think this, it's hard to predict the future, but right now we need enterprise.
I'm on the same page with Brandon. I don't think it's happening anytime soon, and it does not make sense. He gave us a great example for using stable diffusion. For a long time, we thought, okay, stable diffusion gives us the maximum flexibility if you want to do image rendering, AI image rendering, but it proved that it's a lot of work. First of all, you need to come up with some sort of standard with older version of stable diffusion. You need to define your LoRa and everything else. And once it's set up, Nano Banana or ChatGPT would release another model that's much more powerful than this current version. And if stable diffusion improves, then you have to start over. So it does not make sense for any of us to go through that route. In terms of other examples, I think, as long as you can use RAGs and, fine tuning, it does not make sense. You still can use one of those most powerful, most up-to-date models as the backbone of whatever AI, system you want to put in place, and just fine tune it based on your needs. So I don't think it's happening anytime soon.
Very good. Thank you. Mona, any thoughts?
I think I agree with both Brandon and Ali. Just adding that, shifting to like local AI models would need a huge resource and different roles, descriptions within an architecture firm that I feel like we're not there yet. So yeah.
Very good. Thank you. And then just as the last question, is asking, have you noticed any drawbacks of AI rendering tools? So this is also about visualization.
Well, it used to be too many fingers, but they sorted out that problem. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think, again, I think Mona and others have talked about it. I mean, you got to be careful what you promise. You can't just say, now I'm going to do renderings in 15 minutes. It's not so simple, right? There's still post-production. There's still good modeling. There's still QAQC to make sure the thing didn't hallucinate too much. I mean, some hallucination I think everybody's getting away with, but making sure that it's staying true to the model and the design. Yeah, I'd say the biggest drawback is just managing expectations, honestly.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, I think for rendering tools, it's really important to, I think, like, based on examples that I'm seeing that in our firm, those who have, a good like background knowledge of design, and then, it's really important how you prompt these tools, right? It's not just about like, I have seen examples where people just add a simple prompt and they're like, oh, why I'm not getting a good result. But it's really important to like think about that process as well, right? How to communicate, and having that design knowledge and background really helps, right? So for example, now I see a difference from a senior designer using these tools versus like a junior designer who has recently joined the firm and just want to create an image out of an AI rendering tool. So I think that is an important thing. Of course, there are like you'll not get the best result at the beginning, but if you understand how to work with it, it becomes better and better over time.
Great, thank you.
So
Ali?
if I want to answer that question, I mean, first of all, I agree with both Brandon and Mona, and but I think it's just very important for us as architects to understand that, you know, different type of tools available out there. One sort of tools are deterministic tools versus non-deterministic tools. So deterministic tools, same input, same output, always, no exception. And if you're doing, you know, structural load calculation, if you're using some sort of grasshopper definition to compute floor area, or, you know, Revit schedule formula, something like that is completely deterministic. If you run it one time or 1,000 times, you get identical inputs no matter what. And then you have the non-deterministic tools, including, you know, large language models, any type of AI, image rendering, so on and so forth. So run it 10 times, you get 10 different answers. And that's why it makes things much harder. And you know, in the case of rendering, the most success we've got so far is where, you know, you're brainstorming, you're at the earliest stage of design, and you're just trying to throw out some ideas in front of the client, and you can they're getting better and better every day, no question about it. And I'm sure at some point it gets, you know, very, very good that you don't need to render anything. But at the moment, if it's really important for you to keep the consistency throughout all of your renderings, and it's very important for you to get every single detail correct, you still have to rely on rendering. Otherwise, for earlier stages of design, I think it's perfect.
Amazing. Thank you all so very much. And thank you for staying longer. This was a super insightful and inspiring and great conversation. I personally enjoyed it a lot. I'm sure our community has enjoyed it a lot and has learned a lot. So this will be saved on our YouTube channel, AEC+tech YouTube channel. Have a wonderful day, and please join our next conversation on May 4th, which is going to be about drawing generation. So thank you all, Mona, Ali, Brandon, again for your time today, and hope to see you all soon. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.